this is a mystical process. It's not a religious process. You don't go to church and receive an absolution for your sins and then but check a box and you're done. That is not how this works. This is an affair of the heart, not an affair of the mind. You cannot go and sit with, sort of a list of rules and regulations and procedures and try and connect with the divine that way. It won't work. It just won't work. I'm not saying you shouldn't have any structure, have some structure to it, but don't limit yourself within that structure. Don't limit the divine to that structure. And that's the problem that most of these Abrahamic religious frameworks have, is that they are primarily a means of control. They exist to make money. They exist to control thought, basically. And they worked hand in hand with the aristocracy for a long time. And they kind of had this unified goal, which was to keep the power in the hands of the few and out of the hands of the many. And I suppose it probably worked and was efficient for the time because, largely human populations were very uneducated, and I could see the sense that it made during that period in history. But today, when most of humanity has access to all the information that's ever been available in the world, and we have the ability to communicate with each other in instantaneous, in an instant, and we can produce far more than enough resources to feed and clothe every single human being and house every single human being on this planet comfortably. It doesn't really make sense to continue following those old hierarchical authority structures, which were useful in a time when most people were extremely disconnected from one another. Nobody ever really traveled. I mean, nobody spoke any other languages. People, they couldn't read, they couldn't write. Arithmetic and math was in the head. It was an unsophisticated society, and it would have been unreasonable to assume that level of organization could have possibly resulted in the society that we have today. So then it was a good thing. Just like I also believe that capitalism was a good thing because it connected the world and basically made the problem of resource acquisition a null issue. We have far more than enough resources now, but capitalism has outlived its usefulness in that now the problem is not, we don't have enough food to eat, or, we don't have enough electricity to power this, or, whatever. The problem is not that. The problem is now we are making way too much shit. And certain people have way too much money, way too much power and influence, and the rest of us have almost nothing. And we are making too much stuff that people don't really need, and it's killing the planet. It's killing the biosphere. So it's like a self-defeating feedback loop wherein we're destroying our planet because we're extracting profit from it, but we keep destroying the planet because we are extracting profit from it. And everybody just says, that's the way it has to be. You can't. It's like, it's actually not the way it has to be. That's the way that they told you it has to be. That's the way that you were raised and educated and conditioned to believe it had to be. But it never had to be that way. It never had to be that way. It could always have been a different way. Maybe not always, I suppose. Maybe we needed to have this period of darkness so that we could see specifically kind of all of the, this is why you don't want, an egotistical, unstable maniac to become the leader of the free world. This is why you don't want, These, you have to kind of see almost. Like in a psychedelic trip, when you're healing a pattern, oftentimes your brain will produce imagery or whatever, will produce imagery associated with this pattern that you're trying to release. One of the things I heard recently was a gentleman who I had brought to one of our ceremonies had seen several snakes in succession. And when he first saw this one snake, it was like dark black and red and evil or whatever. But then as he confronted the snake and saw it for what it was and accepted it basically and kind of allowed it and thanked it for its teaching, the snake transformed, shed the dark red, black aura and took on a sort of soft, calm, green, nice, peaceful aura. And that's, I think, kind of what's happening on a grand cosmic scale on Earth. We're in like the beginning nascent stages of a psychedelic trip where it's like things are really starting to ramp up and it's about to get crazy. We haven't even come close to the peak yet, but it's like now you're just now starting to see kind of like the darkness that comes up that needs to be cleared to make way for the light. And That, ladies and gentlemen, is I think the message today. It's time to make way for the light. It's time to stop allowing the darkness to dictate what the light does. All right? The darkness obeys the light, not the other way around. And it's been upside down for 2,000 or maybe more years. But I genuinely believe that it is now that the lifting of the veil on consciousness is happening. Apocalypsis is now. The age of the water carrier, the age of Aquarius is now. So if I were you, I would try and start connecting to whatever that is, because I'm not going to sit here and say like time's running out or anything like that, but I will say that the sooner you start, the sooner you get to the place I'm in right now. And the place I'm in right now, man, if you could feel how I feel every day, you wouldn't want to live any other way. I love you so much.